Hey everybody, it's Jason Blaha here. You guys know what time it is? Time to talk about current events in the online fitness community. And for those of you who like these type of videos, please remember to click like down below. If you're not subscribed yet, hit the subscribe button. And I had one of my subscribers who awared me of a video I haven't seen, of a channel I haven't seen, saying, hey Jason, this strongman went and ran a mile to see how fast he could do it, and it was actually decent, and he doesn't run, just to test it. This is the sort of stuff that you like to talk about, so why don't you cover it? Now, I'm going to give you guys a disclaimer right up front. Pretend it's not me saying it, because I know every time I make any video discussing anything of strength carry over to any sort of athletic endeavor, 37 people make videos saying, Jason Blaha thinks that he can do X or Y. Okay, pretend it's not Jason Blaha saying it, and pretend it has nothing to do with me. Pretend it has nothing to do with me. Let's just discuss strength and conditioning and take me out of the equation, right? Let's see if we can do that just this one time, guys. Just this once. This isn't about me. It's about this other guy who just ran a mile as a strongman. Not about me. All right. So, and what people need to remember is that then people are going to say, well, why don't you go test yourself? Well, because no one would believe it if I did it anyways. If I ran a mile and had someone time it, there would also be 37 videos coming out of Jason Blaha fakes running a mile on a fake CGI track and bribe someone to lie about the time. Okay, that's exactly what would happen. Right? That's exactly what would happen. Or proof that Jason lied about editing the time when he did it real time with a timer running. Right? He edited it to trim 37 minutes off his mile time. And they would offer absolute proof, undeniable proof that I edited it. So it would be a complete waste of time. God, the internet is so insane. All right, over to the point though. We have Jason Szat. Now, some people are going to be like, well, Jason, first of all, that's cheating because he's Slavic. All right, again, set your stereotypes aside. My people were known for squatting. We squat really well. That's why I squat over 500 pounds, okay? In my 40s. Okay, yeah, I get that. We're not known for running. We're known for our ability to squat really well, even under the influence of copious amounts of alcohol. So that's wrong stereotype, guys. We're not runners. So he doesn't have an advantage for being Slavic, for those of you who are going to jump in and say that. Now, if it was a squatting contest, then you guys could jump in and say, well, obviously he squats well. He didn't know how to do anything. He's just gifted. So, over to the point. He ran a mile. He ran a mile. He did it in under 7 minutes as a non-runner while weighing like 240, 250. A lot of people will look at that and say, well, oh, that's interesting. I didn't expect that. And then we will come over to the point, well, you should expect it. Because strength carries over to everything. And this is what we talk about in strength and conditioning. And this is one of the points I always make to you guys. You need to get as strong as possible. Okay? Everybody out there needs to strength train and do fairly serious strength training. Why? Well, we could look at the health effects. We know every new study that looks at it, what does it repeatedly find over and over and over? Strength training is the single most important modality for your health. Okay? When it comes to everything from reducing cancer rates, reducing diabetes rates, improving osteoporosis, osteoarthritis. Now, even data on Alzheimer's and dementia, strength training is the most important form of exercise for all these things. People say, what about cardiovascular conditioning? The most recent studies and meta-analysis that looked at it found strength training actually reduced cardiovascular events more than doing cardio does. Okay. State that again. Strength training improves your cardiovascular health. In other words, the ability to avoid having strokes and heart attacks until later in life. Strength training actually helps that more than doing cardio does. With the caveat that that's if you only picked one. If you only picked one. Now, we know that people who do both go into the next better category up, right? But if you only did one, the strength training would help with your heart health more. If you only did one. But I'm not telling people to only do one. It would be in your best interest to go ahead and do both. Right? It would be in your best interest to be conditioned and strong. So, it's one reason I promote all of that. It's the reason I do conditioning work on camera every week. So we come over to the point with this guy. He does conditioning work as a strongman, right? He's probably in decent shape. Tends to go with territory. The sport kind of demands it, while focusing primarily on strength. But they have a large conditioning component to what they do. You don't have to run. Everything carries over to some extent. And when it comes to strength, we know that strength training improves your endurance ability. Okay? And that's what we're saying here. And this has been studied. It's not me saying this. It's not this guy saying this. All the experts who've studied this say this. All the coaches know this. If you take a person who has never run a day in their life, right? Since they were a child, running around on the playground, they've never run at any point in their adult life or even teenage life. And you go test their run time right now, right? They're completely out of shape. You test their 1 mile time. And they don't run again until they spend the next 3 or 4 years getting strong on the barbell squat, for example. Barbell exercises, right? And they build their leg strength. And you go have them run again, they will do dramatically better. In fact, a person who might not have been able to complete a mile will probably have a somewhat not terrible, horrific mile time if they spent 3 or 4 years squatting really, really hard and got strong on the squat, even if they haven't done any running. Now, if they've done any conditioning work on top of it, we're going to come back over to what we saw with this guy, right? It was like high 6 minutes. I don't remember the exact number, but it was less than a 7 minute. Now, he was going to see if he could do less than a 5, and we knew that wasn't reasonable at his body weight and not with sport-specific training. But we know that strength carries over to everything. Every coach in the world tells you this, and it's only purists and traditionalists who refuse to acknowledge modern coaching methods, who say really, really stupid stuff. The same thing came up in the whole conversation about martial arts, and it's the purists. And I talked to a number of instructors who strength train, and I even talked to one of my clients who's a very, very serious martial artist who I coach his strength training. And he pointed out, yeah, there's actually a trend in that of purists who are actually just really ignorant in the martial arts world who don't realize that, yes, your squat will carry over to kicking power for a martial artist, right? And for a non-trained person, that shouldn't even be, that's not even subject to debate. The laws of physics dictate that it has to be true. Right? Physics dictate that it has to be true. You are simply able to produce more force if you're stronger and have more muscle and more body weight. Right? Unavoidable. Laws of physics, undeniable. So they'll deny that it carries over, and they'll say silly things like, well, you could get muscle bound and slow. That's not possible without anabolics. And that's a point that needs to be made with all that stuff too when it comes over to, well, if you got bulky from lifting, it would slow you down. You can only gain so much muscle, guys. Most of the people who you're thinking of who are really, really, really big, that's drugs. That's not weight training. We're talking about purely muscle that you gain as a result of lifting weights. Okay? Muscle that you gain as a result of lifting weights, not from putting drugs in your body, just from the weightlifting and eating food. It's not possible. It is not biologically possible to gain enough muscle to get muscle bound or to slow you down. Okay? To where you're slower. It can't be done. And in fact, proper training will make you faster as you get stronger. There's a lot of methods we can use to do that. And stuff I do with my own clients, stuff I do myself. So the point there is that you don't get slower. And then we come over to running. We know that getting stronger legs and squats improves marathon times. People say, what? The same thing occurs. We know that marathon runners and cyclists and people who do endurance sports, if they do resistance training and they get stronger legs, their times improve even in their endurance events. The strength actually carries over to some extent all the way to the most extreme endurance sports. Now, the reason that the things get clouded there is that some people have an enormous genetic advantage in endurance sports and that no amount of training will ever let you catch them. That's where there can be some confusion, because when it comes to endurance sports, there are people who don't do any strength training who are still at the world level. People say, well, doesn't that prove otherwise? No. Because those people have genetic advantages that no amount of training will ever let you catch. And distance running is its own separate thing, but there are people, depending on where they are from in the world, that there is no training, no combination of drugs, nothing you could do in your lifestyle that will ever let you catch them in a marathon. Okay? And we know that scientifically, we know why that is, we know the specific genes and the biomechanics as to why those people are unbeatable. You will never beat them at endurance sports. But it's not that they wouldn't probably be slightly better if they did some resistance training. So we're not talking about comparing yourself to someone with a genetic difference that makes them unbeatable no matter what you do, because that is the case in endurance sports. That is actually the case. But when it comes over to you as an individual, your leg strength will improve your run times. It will improve your marathon times. All the best coaches know this. This has been looked at. It's been studied. So this shouldn't come as a surprise. And the same thing we come over to someone who's never run. If you've built strength and conditioning, particularly the strength first, by squatting and doing leg work, you're going to be a better runner than before you did the strength work, even if you don't run. And that's exactly what we saw here. And it's just a demonstration of what everybody in the strength and conditioning world already knows to be true. And this is the sort of stuff that only purists in their individual sports and endeavors, who are very much purists and traditionalists, are in denial of. But everybody else and the researchers and the best coaches in the world all know that it's actually true already. It's not even debated anymore. It's only debated in small circles of people who kind of put their fingers in their ears and they want to be traditionalists and they want to deny it. The evidence is pretty overwhelming, and this is just another example of it. All right, guys, well, that's really all I have to say on that today. I hope it's been informative, and I will talk to you guys next time.